Welcome to The Explainer. So, today we're diving into something pretty incredible, the core beliefs that fueled the early Muslim community, the Mujahideen. We're talking about a time of huge struggle and expansion. So, what was it? What was the spiritual secret sauce that gave them such powerful morale? Let's get into it.
All right, so let's just frame the central question here, because it's a big one. You've got these massive, established empires. Think of the Persian Empire, right? Centuries of history, culture, and power. And then, on the other side, you have this brand new, emerging community. So the question is, how did they do it? How did they not just hold on, but actually build enough momentum to challenge these giants? It's a fascinating puzzle.
And you know, the answer isn't what you might expect. It wasn't just about having a better military strategy or more soldiers. The key, when you look at the texts from that period, was something deeper. It was this incredibly powerful spiritual and psychological framework, all built on the verses of the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet. This stuff directly shaped the mindset, the morale of every single person involved.
Okay, so the first big idea we need to unpack really flips the whole script on what this struggle was about. We're not talking about a typical war for land or power. No. In their minds, this was something so much bigger. It was framed as a direct spiritual transaction with God himself.
And this idea, it was incredibly powerful. Why? Because they were absolutely certain that it was a successful transaction. Think about what that means. Every single sacrifice, every bit of hardship they went through, it wasn't a loss. It was an investment. Their goal wasn't just conquest for the sake of it. The whole point was to strive in God's cause, to stand up for the weak and the oppressed. And just look at the language here. It's so specific. The struggle is literally called a trade that saves you from a painful torment. This wasn't just some poetic metaphor for them. This was a real, binding contract being offered directly by God.
So, what were the terms of this divine deal? Well, they were laid out pretty clearly. Step 1, believe in God and his messenger. Step 2, put your money where your mouth is and strive with your wealth. And step 3, the ultimate commitment, strive with your life, all of it, for the cause.
And what was the return on that investment? Well, the payout was profound. We're not just talking about avoiding punishment here. The promised return was the ultimate win, complete forgiveness of your sins and entry into paradise, which is described so beautifully as gardens under which rivers flow.
This is where it gets really interesting. Think about the level of detail here. It's like a kind of spiritual accounting. Every single hardship, thirst, being tired, hunger, even just crossing a valley, it was all being recorded, written down to their credit as a good deed. That created this incredible certainty that nothing they did, no matter how small it seemed, was ever wasted. It all mattered.
So, when you put all this together, it leads to this unbelievably powerful mindset. From their point of view, it was literally impossible to lose. Think about that. Every single battle, no matter what the worldly outcome was framed as a victory.
And this whole idea is perfectly captured in a key verse from the Quran. It essentially asks, what are you expecting for us? There are only two possibilities, and they're both the best things that could happen. It's the ultimate win-win scenario, right, for every single person fighting. Either you get victory in this life, on the battlefield, or you get what was seen as the even greater victory, martyrdom and an immediate reward.
And a teaching from the Prophet takes this even further, really elevating the whole idea of martyrdom. It's not painted as this tragic, sad end. Instead, it's described as the most desirable outcome you could imagine, a state so honorable that someone who experiences it would actually wish to come back and do it all over again 10 times over. I mean, that just completely rewires your whole understanding of success and failure, doesn't it? Now, this kind of conviction was absolutely crucial. Why? Because they were taught that hardship wasn't just the possibility, it was a guarantee. Setbacks weren't a surprise. They were an expected, unavoidable part of the journey. And this verse, it lays it all out. It basically says, hey, do you think you're just going to walk into paradise without being tested like the people who came before you? It taught them that these trials, these tests of faith, are a prerequisite for the ultimate reward. It's a direct message, don't expect an easy ride. Expect to be shaken. But, and this is the key part, it also reassures them that God's help is nearest right when things get that tough.
And this wasn't just theory. They applied this thinking to real-world events. Take a devastating defeat, like the one at the Battle of the Bridge of Abu Ubaid. The immediate reaction wasn't, oh no, God has abandoned us. Not at all. Instead, it was seen as part of a divine plan, a law of testing that was designed to forge their patience and strengthen their resolve.
All right, this brings us to our final point, and honestly, it might be the most important one because it ties everything else together. It's a principle that puts the responsibility for a community's destiny right back on the community itself.
The core idea is pretty foundational. It says that the external condition of a people, whether they're winning or losing, thriving or struggling, is basically a mirror. It's a direct reflection of their own internal, collective spiritual and moral state. And this verse became their guiding principle. It's simple, but so profound. God won't change the condition of a people until they change what is inside themselves. So if you want to change your circumstances on the outside, if you want to achieve victory, the work has to start on the inside, within yourselves and your community.
And again, this wasn't just something they talked about. They put it into practice. As they moved into new areas, their number one priority wasn't just conquest. It was internal change. They focused on teaching the fundamentals of the faith, on instilling solid beliefs, and on cultivating what they called sublime characteristics in people's hearts.
So when you look at it all together, these teachings acted as a powerful internal compass, one that directly linked a person's spiritual commitment to their worldly fate. And it leaves us with a really provocative question, one that's just as relevant today. What really is the connection between the inner character of a society and where it ultimately ends up?